everybody, Dr. T here. Today we will be discussing the Bluestone family murders, a horrific case of domestic violence that led to a family being torn apart by a person who was sworn to uphold the law. The Bluestones lived in England, and Jill was an accountant that had 4 children. With her husband, Carl. Jill was described as a likable woman who was believed would be very successful in the near future. Carl was a policeman and was well liked and had a respectable career on the police force. The family was seen as a well-respected family in the area, and everyone liked them. Carl and Jill's marriage was not as happy behind closed doors as they were to the outside world. Within months of their marriage, there was a call about domestic violence, and Carl was arrested, but Jill decided to not go ahead with the case. For years, Carl was abusive towards Jill, and each time, Jill never pursued charges. Carl even threatened her with a meat cleaver, raped her, and again, Jill didn't press charges. Weeks later, she attempted to escape, but he smashed out the window of her car, and they went back into the home where a fight ensued, and things were thrown where one of the children was hit by a flying object, and the police were called. But on the way to the station, Carl ingested a bunch of pills and was taken to the hospital to have his stomach pumped, and CPS didn't find sufficient evidence to charge him, and the case was again dropped. Carl was a master manipulator. He was 2 different people, a well-liked man and police officer, but a completely different person behind the closed doors of his home. No friends or family or co-workers had any indication of Carl's anger. It was found that Carl would purposely start arguments with Jill due to his jealousy of Jill's success at work, even with being a mother of 4. Jill confided in a friend that she was scared for her life and was afraid of what Carl would do to her. In June, Carl had strangled Jill, and after Jill asked for a divorce, she felt it would be safer for her children and for her and her children to try and make the relationship work after the strangulation. On August 25th, Jill said she was getting a divorce and was leaving with the kids. She had put the house up for sale and was finally done. All she wanted was her share of the sale of the house. On August 28th, 2001, before 9 p.m., Carl came home from a night of drinking with fellow officers after work at a local bar, stopped at a grocery store, chatted with the neighbor before going in the house, and then sat down to watch TV. Just before the kids went to bed, Carl started accusing Jill of cheating, and an argument ensued. Bluestone's 7-year-old daughter went to the neighbor's house and said her daddy was attacking her mommy, and the police were called. When they entered the house, they found a ghastly scene. Jill dead in the kitchen, a child at the foot of the stairs, 1 in the bedroom, and 1 in bed. He had attacked them all with a hammer. 2 of the children tragically died, 3-year-old Henry and 18-month-old Chandler, but 2 survived. As far as the police could tell, Carl was on the run, but a neighbor said there was noises coming from the garage, and cops investigated and found that Carl hung himself. Why the red flags were never seen was unknown, but after the investigation, Parliament stated that 4 incidents of domestic violence perpetrated by Carl Bluestone were brought to the attention of Kent County Constabulary, and all were recorded. The alleged victim in each of these incidences was Jill Bluestone. In 2 of the incidents, reference was made to the Crown Prosecution Service, who decided to take no further action. No disciplinary action was undertaken in relation to any of the incidents. If he had been charged and reprimanded at work for the previous arrests of DV, would that have changed the outcome? Detectives are unsure, but all the red flags were there and nothing at all was done, and there will always be a what if. What if something was done and that would have saved his family from such a horrible and tragic fate? The police station was shaken to their core. New laws have made it easier for charges to be made against abusers, even if the victim recants their statements. Police video cameras capture each event and can be used as evidence, and now it is understood that even police officers can be abusers, and it is no longer brushed under the carpet. In November 6, 2001, an inquest was conducted, and even though Carl had taken his own life, he was still responsible for the deaths of his wife and 2 sons. In 2022, Kent Police released a statement. An interagency review into the events leading up to the murders was commissioned, and concluded, amongst other findings, that there were missed opportunities for early intervention to break the cycle of violence. However, the review also concluded that there was never any evidence those who knew and worked with Carl could have predicted or prevented the tragedies that would occur. There has never been any place in policing for people who commit domestic abuse, and the force's capacity to investigate and bring offenders to justice has strengthened considerably in the 21 years since these murders. If you or someone you know is in an abusive situation, call the National Helpline at 1-800-799-SAFE or text START to 88788. Everyone deserves a healthy relationship.